Hey everyone, welcome back to Torment, Tides of Numenera. We are in the Labyrinth, and in the Dark Fathom, about to head over here to, I don't even know who we're going to deal with. We just talked to the Changing God, or the Spectre, or whoever it was, and convinced him that he was not actually the Changing God, so he just kind of left. And we got these two folks to talk to. You won, now do what you came to do. And, well, are you going to open it, or do I have to kill you and open it myself?
It's a plan.
Okay. I guess this might be the end. Let us see what we got here for us. Pulsing waves of heat roll down the stairs, and you hear a low, continuous whirring that's somewhere between a sigh and a melody. The door is singing as though welcoming you back. Even in this low light, the wheel at the bottom of the door fairly glows. You feel your palms tingle at the sight of it. Something clicks in your mind and the door answers. Hidden gears spin behind the cage. The door is opening for you and you alone. Okay. Oh. I had a feeling we would be... Yep, I had a feeling. Okay. The sorrow is here in its full power, wearing the unquiet psyches of the victims like a tattered cloak. Filaments of light and energy leak from it, strange colors that correspond to no tides you know. Its tendrils flap and flutter in an unseen breeze. You come before me at last, yet we have met so many times before. Its voice is a hissing multitude. One voice stands atop the rest, a woman's voice, soft and deep. It gives me no pleasure to meet you in this place, but you and your kind have left me no choice. Every body your sire creates abuses those forces you call the tides. They draw energy from those around them. In so doing, you weaken the seals on energy you do not comprehend. You increase the amount of suffering in the world. Every attempt at mitigating that damage has failed. Every step results in misery. You are the first in millennia to hear me speak in an embodied language. You are persistent, tenacious, and durable, and so perhaps words will suffice where destruction has failed. It is time to bring this experiment in immortality to a close. While the creature speaks, its thoughts assault you, crushing your mind in an alien embrace. It takes an extreme effort of will to shut them out just so you can speak. The sorrow's gaze rests upon I remember you, the little toy cowering, trapped in ruins I made of our world so long ago. To show you mercy then, it was not a kindness, was it? Its tendrils unfurl towards with the gentle care of an outstretched hand. You have lived too long. Come, join the rest of your world. I promise it will not hurt. Hesitates at your side. You feel its wordless need warring with the thrumming bonds of its loyalty towards you. What do you mean, join the rest of your world? I offer oblivion, not everlasting torment, not punishment. I offer your immortal companion the death it has always dreamed of. I offer peace. Oh. You guys are from the same world? The masters of our civilization treated the tides as their playthings. They polluted the tides and they suffered for it. Their suffering spilled out into the world and across the borders of reality. They created me to cauterize their self-inflicted wound. I did so. Its gaze rests again on I understand your companion more than you can imagine. We are created beings, each with a purpose. We are servants of the tides. I was created with agency. Your companion has none. It must teach the tides just as you must breathe, even though it knows the ruinous cost. It's undeniably true. You feel mingled pride at your accomplishments, and the shame beneath that pride, poisonous and hot. Inches towards the sorrow, then pauses, glancing back at you. You feel a yearning from a desire for the sorrow's gifts. If he wants to go. Go, goodbye, and thank you. Strokes your ankle gently one last time, then it turns towards the towering being opposite you. Dark tendrils close around your tiny companion, and is gone. Nothing remains but dying motes of light, the color of eyes drifting into the air. The sorrow nods. Your companion has decided its fate. Let us return to our discussion of yours. and of the harm your kind has done to the tides. Okay. How do the tides increase the suffering in the world? The tides themselves do not cause suffering, rather the abuse of them in your bodies. Your kind has wrought torment on the world in the name of endless life. You bring pain, large and small, deliberate and inadvertent. Without you, the endless battle would never have raged. Without you, the children of the endless gate would not have terrorized the world. Betrayal, slaughter, and bloodshed are the hallmarks of a Castoff's wake. Your sister, the slaver Tolmagur, cast her suffering into the child Ren, though the girl had done her no harm. Your sister Makina took her adoptive father's eyes, and though she mourned, she did not change her ways. Even the saintly Adiris brought torment into this world. She thought she drew my attention when she lashed out at me at Mila Vest. No, she was already marked, and her body, your sire, brought the jagged dream to Sage's cliffs to foment strife. Adiris rejected them, but chaos and misery trailed even in her passage through the world. Castoffs bring pain. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with this. The Sorrow is saying that, Castoffs are immortal. Yeah, I get that. And the changing god certainly caused lots of problems. And the Castoffs are kind of powerful. But we've met Castoffs that haven't done anything wrong to anybody. Haven't we? They were talking about Ren, but we made sure that Ren went to a family that loved her, so that worked out okay. I think it's safe to say that we've done some good. So, okay, so let's see. I'm just trying to stop the abuse of the tides. Are you? We shall see. I know what they say of me, destroyer of civilizations, death's mistress, soul taker, ender of the circle, yet I take no pleasure in destruction. My pursuit of your kind has been solely a matter of expedience, but you have come this far despite my attempts to stop you. I will give you a last chance at an alternate solution. And I will also say the Sorrows also killed a lot of people that weren't cast off, so, she's got no right to be cast in judgment. When Adiris asked you what one life matters, you replied that each life is important, a world of potential. We shall see if you stand by those words. Okay, what is this place? This place is the central chamber of your collective mind space. It is the resonance, the true expression of which your resonance chamber was but a shadow. In this place, you touch the knowledge and strength of every Castoff ever created. Why are you here? When you escaped me on the moon, I placed a piece of myself here as a last resort. I have ridden here in your mind ever since. Indeed, I could not have found the moon had you not returned to it in the mirror, bringing me along with you. I called myself to myself in that reality, breaching the station's defenses to close the loop of time that brought me here. All to ensure that the power of the resonance is not abused, that your kind does not worsen the world again. Okay, what are you? I'm a guardian, a protector, a legacy of a forgotten people, tasked to watch over that which they failed to defend. I convince the specter that the changing god is dead. Is that true? It is late to speak of truths and identities. The one you called the specter was the embodiment of the changing god's life and memories. When you convinced him that he was dead, that became true enough. All that remains of the changing god, all that he is and was, is here, now, in the labyrinth. Adira said that she never used the tidal surge in her life had she abused the tides. The surges are one manifestation of that suffering, but your kind draw and distort the energies of the tide at a level you cannot understand. Her passage left lovers squabbling, children crying, and conflicts escalated that might have been avoided. Though she suspected this truth and sought the shelter of Mila Vest, even she has been the author of invisible miseries. Every one of you is the same. Okay, but you could say the same thing about, all people. The tides, I don't think, have anything to do with that, right? It's all people. Even the best of people inadvertently cause pain and misery to some people. So, Yeah, I think what the Sorrow is saying is that because you're people, you don't deserve to exist. It is up to you. The question is, with what purpose have you come? Well, I came here to keep the changing God from snuffing out our existence. Well, and I came here to stop you from hunting us. Then you must cease to exist. So long as you are fractured and bleeding across the world, I will hunt you. Years of pursuing your kind have not been without surcease. I would return to dormancy, but I cannot until the tides are clean again. I hunt your kind to remove your contagion. Because you are here, you will make the choice of how the cleansing occurs, and then we will find rest again. Let's see. He believed that subsuming all Castoffs into himself would stop you. No. The first said that severing the connection between us would stop you from hunting us. What if I just want everything back the way it was? Okay. The first said severing the connection between us would stop you from hunting us. The connection of which she speaks is the labyrinth itself. You would no longer draw your power from this place, and my pursuit of you would cease. Your sister's solution would have shattered this place. It would have destroyed the tidal seals that protect the populace from madness. My charter is to guard those seals to protect that energy. Had her plan actually worked, it would have destroyed the minds of thousands. I could not allow that to occur. Okay. Is there another way to sever the tidal connection? The resonance chamber was a blunt instrument. Alone it would have shattered and destroyed the labyrinth. The resonance, however, is a sharp edge. It can sever the connection cleanly and without harm, eliminating your kind and the threat you pose to the integrity of the tidal energies. It is the wise choice. So we would all die. It can sever the connection cleanly and without harm, eliminating your kind and the threat you pose. Yeah, I don't think so. What if I just want everything back the way it was? Is that possible? Yes, you and your kind can continue to exist, and I will continue to hunt you down, the ever-present looming specter of your mortality, erasing you from history one by one. I will allow this. It seems you'll allow any choice I make. What will you oppose? The resonance has the power to combine and sever, and to remove the protections over the tides entirely. Doing so would envetter a truly dangerous force, imperiling the land in the psychic landscape for millennia. I cannot permit this choice, and will resist it with all my strength. Remove the protections, but the Castoffs would survive? You and your kind would survive unscathed, yes, but the result for so many others, both now and the future, would be catastrophic. I have not assessed if it would ripple through dimensions, though indications for such repercussions are strong. It is not in my nature to allow such a thing. How do I choose? I have entwined myself through every piece of this place. It is mine. Tell me your choice, and I will make it a reality if I approve. Let's see. If you'd prefer that we all die, why don't you just sever the connection? Tell me again. Blub, blub. What if you don't approve of my choice? Then I will oppose you with all my strength. That's why I'm here. Okay, if you'd prefer that we all die, why don't you just sever the connection? I'm manifested here, but I do not control the resonance itself. I am the lock on the door, while your thoughts are the key. You will remain paramount in this place. I can resist your choice, but I cannot make the choice for you. Okay, let's think about this. I don't buy his or her assessment that the Castoffs are in danger that have to be destroyed. I mean, so the Changing God was a jerk. I think we can all agree on that. And there were certainly some Castoffs that the fighting between them caused a lot of strife. But I don't know. I don't know. Like, you know, that the merchant lady, I don't think she was causing anybody any trouble. And Adiris, I mean, okay, he could go and the Sorrow could go and say that Adiris was causing problems, but I mean, she seemed to be spending all of her energy in helping everybody get along. So I don't know if it's right for us to just go and decide to wipe out everybody. And I don't know if I trust her judgment that if we don't get wiped out, it's going to end up causing lots of problems. So I also don't believe that it's right for me to go and say we're going to merge all the Castoffs into one consciousness, whether it's me or somebody else. So I could reject Sorrow and all of us will live free. I keep saying that there's going to be a cost with that, though, so let's none of these choices are right, and I have no right to choose the fate for so many. I want to return everything and everyone the way it was. First Castoff. Oh, I didn't even notice the first Castoff was here. She nods once, sharp and vigorous. Yes, let us choose our own path. We will find a way. You have seen the wisdom of the way I have upheld for so long. We can solve this together. I don't like the idea that I'm agreeing with her. In fact, Makina does too. I hate to agree with her, but I don't want to die. You've made the right choice. Now that we know the truth straight from the Sorrow's mouth, we can find a real solution. The webs of power that swirl around the Sorrow thrash and churn, and its colors alternately dim and flash. The faces on its cloak moan in horror. Its voice is measured, but it seems to contain a repressed rage. The horrors that your kind have visited upon the world would merit a death sentence in any civilization. I warn you now, I shall continue to hunt your kind to extinction. That's no difference than our lives now. I cannot choose the fate of people I've never met. I cannot kill people against their will. I've made my choice to it. I cannot kill people against their will. I can't kill people probably with their will, but, you know. A flicker of warmth, heat even, rolls from the Sorrow's aching cold. Yes, this is the life you have led. Even when pushed, you have returned to this path again and again. I will honor this choice. It is not my solution, but it is a solution. Before we depart this place, I will seal the resonance forever. The labyrinth will fall apart. I cannot risk you or your siblings returning to this place to resume the cycle your sire created. I will leave a piece of myself here to guard the resonance, and I will pursue each of you until the end of your days. Is this your desire? Yeah, I guess. The Sorrow stretches its arms. Prepare yourself. The lights that dance through its form coalesce. The tormented minds that hang with it begin to stream away, drawn to some hidden singularity at the heart of the chamber. The Sorrow dissolves thread by thread into that invisible whole, decohering into a lattice, a ring, a nearly comprehensible language of symbols and thoughts laying its purpose bare. The Sorrow's form envelops the resonance, and the colors and lights fade, leaving you bereft and in darkness. As the lights dim, you realize that you are being cut away from voices, from connections you hardly realized existed, set free and alone into a strange new solitude. Your mind drifts in a sea of flux, a shifting quantum sea of possibility and chance. You are at peace. I'm assuming this means that we are no longer immortal either, because we can't return to the labyrinth every time we die. Oh, crap. I thought... Okay, it's not fair if she just then immediately kills us. You gotta give us a head start or something. You waken on the cold floor of the Mimavira's fortress. When you open your eyes, vertigo assails you, and a momentary panic when you realize the Sorrow hovers here, its tendrils coiling and twisting. It speaks. You have chosen to retain the world as it is. With the resonance in the labyrinth sealed, the potential for a disaster has been averted, and as a token of gratitude, I shall allow each of you gathered here a chance to resume your lives, but you shall all answer to me someday. I will come for you, be assured. Also, should you try to resurrect your sire's ill-considered schemes, I will come for you all the more quickly, but for today... Sorrow fades into nothing, but its words resonate in your mind. Today, I grant you a reprieve. Use your time wisely. First Castoff meets your eye and strides over to clasp your hand. You had a difficult decision, and you made the right one. After all that I have done, you had every right to seek revenge on me. In your place, I don't know if I would have been as gracious. I am humbled. I still plan to stop the sorrow somehow, but the bloom is no longer mine. Perhaps I should go rebuild Milavest. How about the drive to defeat death is what caused all this in the first place? What if we just decide to live out our lives? She laughs, and it's only a little scornful. You've already made a decision for all of us. I plan to continue working on what I think is best. You didn't really expect me to change, did you? That's true. I don't intend that we'll meet again, youngest brother, but let's try to work together in the future if we do, Okay. Turn to your companions. What
First
will you do
order
now?
of business is to get out of the bloom. Maybe head back to Orman. I need to let my people out. After that, if you happen to be in the area, I'd be happy to introduce you to my wife and daughter.
Awesome.
But don't be bringing the sorrow with you. We've had quite enough drama.
I think I can do that.
I'll take back the bloom, for starters. We'll see what happens after that.
My dear friend, I'll finally undo the damage the first did to you, to all of us. Nice.
Do? Now? Sounds to me like this adventure has a brand new clock, and we have a head start. First one to Sagas is a Murden's Crestfeather.
Wait, I thought he wasn't like a hero anymore. You look around the ruin of Memavira's fortress, surrounded by death, contemplating your next move. So I can join the first Castoff in rebuilding Milavest, set out to atone for the wrongs you've done, find a new path, a strong one, leave, figure out your next steps later. Let's find a new path. Well, a strong one. I don't even know what that means. We'll just leave. We'll figure out our next steps later. We'll probably go visit Allegern, to tell you the truth. You say nothing, surveying the ruin of Memavira's fortress. It's time perhaps for a fresh air and a new perspective. With a deep breath, you set off. Red tide raised a huge amount. With the labyrinth sealed, the Castoffs of the Changing God returned to their lives great and small, well aware that they lived in the sorrow's shadow. True to its words, the sorrow came for them in time, one by one, and tore them from the fabric of the world, but for a short time at least they were able to live out their lives in peace. You were remembered for your great acts of compassion and sacrifice. For years to come, tales of your life inspired the people of the Ninth World to follow the murmuring of their conscience and protect those who could not protect themselves. Allegern returned to Orman with the frame that had brought him so much grief. One by one, he pulled his tattoos free and cast them through the black metal portal. His friends emerged on the other side, dazed and shocked by their long years of imprisonment in Allegern's mind and body. He saved his wife and daughter for last, hoping without hope that they would be unharmed. They suffered no lasting damage. Over his remaining years, Allegern learned to understand the frame and its function. Orman became a nomadic village, carried on the body of a solitary traveler. Its people flourished, and none forgot the name of the man who showed them the new way, Allegern. What became of Calistege, no one knows. Some say she wandered into the deserts around Sages. Others say that she was found dead on the streets shortly after the most recent Bloomquake, and others still say that she wanders the unknown world, seeking something forever beyond her reach. Makina claimed the bloom, but only long enough to restore control. She wanted to shed the mantle of the White Death. She went to the cult of the Changing God to talk about the histories of her siblings. She remained with him for a year, telling them what she knew of the fate of her sire. Some of the cult quit in rage and grief. Others followed her back to Colne village. They built a monument to her fallen creator, and a small community accreted around her. To her surprise, she found that she was a natural leader, and the town of Colne village began to grow. Castoffs came and went. For a time, she knew peace. When the sorrow came for her decades later, she greeted it as a friend. The hero Eridus was never seen again. But in a nameless field not far from the Valley of Dead Heroes, an aging herdsman drove his newly bought Yule towards a rundown hut. Humming to himself, he rebuilt the hut stone by stone. That night, he slept better than he had in years. He lived out many years as a stranger to everyone who saw him in the tiny town where he bought his supplies, and one day a shopkeeper realized he hadn't seen the herdsman in months. That was the last time anyone thought of the man Eridus had become. As the sorrow promised, felt no pain when it died. It joined the others of its kind in peace forever and ever. The histories of Sage's Cliff relate only to mundane details of Ren's life after she entered the House of Empty Time. They don't relate the rest of her childhood. She was taken in by an old couple at the end of their years. They loved her well enough, but died only a couple years after taking her in. They left her with their son, a cruel man who beat her. She ran away shortly after. She took care of herself on the streets. It wasn't until her mid-20s that she became a toy maker, one that brought joy to the young hearts of Sage's Cliffs and young hearts to the old. She gave every shin she made to the hospice, a home for children with nowhere to go. She died content. As it turned out, Pico excelled in the Order of Truth. He read everything anyone would give him, tried everything anybody would let him try. In a few short years, he was well versed in all manner of Numenera. He became an Aeon priest in less than a decade. Now he is vying for Min's position as the head of the Order. Min is not putting up much of a fight. The veterans of the Fifth Eye enjoyed their retirement from the Psychic Wars. They drank, they laughed, they retold the same tales to anyone who would listen, until one by one their minds faded, and soon there was only Ziobe, drinking with her friends by herself. That was when the adversary, an ancient foe of psychic veterans, chose to attack. It had hidden itself in the Fifth Eye patrons, watching and waiting. With the other veterans gone, it emerged suddenly and without warning. The adversary devoured Ziobe's mind and rampaged across Sage's protectorate, unchallenged and free. Okay, so probably should have gone back and fixed that, but... The tiny construct children of the crippled foreman scattered throughout the city. They began building things at random, much to the consternation of the master foreman. Finally, the master foreman called for his workers to bring the small constructs to him. He was surprised how much they had grown. Apparently they had begun building themselves as well as random pieces of the city. He now instructs them, treating them as he does his human workers, although it's clear he favors them more. What's unclear is how well they will continue to follow his instructions. The quakes beneath Sage's Cliffs ceased for many years, despite Pelai's concerns that without leverage over him, the Sticha would return someday. She would stand in the square most days, preaching her fear to whomever would listen. One day, Pelai announced that she had evidence that the Sticha had returned. She called for a group of brave souls to follow her beneath the city to stop them before it was too late. Several of her bravest listeners followed her into the dark. Nobody knows what became of them. With the Endless Gate closed, Ronos and the other surviving memorialists were able to clean and rebuild. There were so few of them left, so it took months before the last of the blood was removed. They used several different barrier ciphers to block the tomb that had held the Endless Gate, in case something else ever came through again. They never did get rid of the smells. Artaglio and his troop remained in Kyrgen's slump. Free from the desires of the maw, Artaglio became more jovial, friendly even. He drank less and extorted less, though he still extorted, of course. A man's gotta make a living somehow. Marilel returned to the ruins of Mila Vest, looking with regret upon the destruction she had wrought. With a little more than a sigh, she marched forward and got to work. Okay, and that is Torment, Tides of Numenera. So it was playing the credits while I was reading that, but I'm going to play them again while I talk. So, man, that was kind of a ride there, wasn't it? I really, really enjoyed that game. I wasn't sure when we got started if I was actually going to finish it up, but somewhere along the way, it kind of got its hooks in me. The world building is, there's nothing quite like it. It does actually remind me a lot of Planescape Torment, even though the worlds are completely different. Just like all the different people you meet and how everybody's got kind of their strange stories, and it's like yeah, the world building is just top notch. And there's a pen and paper game, a role-playing game called Numenera, written by Monte Cook, and others. In fact, here we go. It's Monte Cook, Shauna Germain, a few others work on the role-playing game. In fact, there's a Kickstarter for a second book. So this is only just a tiny slice of the whole world. The writing was really, really good. I love that they had all these side characters that were just there to show how deep the world was and how many strange things there are outside of the world of just this game. The writing was really, really good. The only downside to the writing is there were a few places where the writing tended to focus on the gross parts, especially when we were in the Bloom, or when we were in that strange like hell world in the Valley of Lost Heroes. But that's just a small nitpick. I thought the writing was great. The art was wonderful. I kind of like games. I like games like this where the focus is on the story. It would have been interesting to see a game where, with a lot more up close graphics, so you can actually see these, folks that we're dealing with. Despite the fact that everybody's got kind of a bizarre description, with the view that we've got with like the kind of isometric, top down, or like 3/4 view, everybody kind of looks the same, so it's hard to tell who's weird looking and who's not. Like, I sometimes had problems telling the difference between the bloom creatures and the shadow creatures. But my major nitpick about this is the combat system. It was a lot of times it was hard to like click on where I wanted people to go. It was difficult sometimes when I thought I was doing an attack, I was actually doing a move. It was just a clunky combat system. I had that one issue where I had a bug that just kind of like screwed up the whole game, and I had to stop and reload. But aside from that, that was my major nitpick. I love the idea that when you entered a crisis, it wasn't always just combat, right? Despite the fact we were in a combat situation, you could go and actually get out of it, or make it easier by using your skills or by talking to people. And I'm not sure I've seen that in many other games before. And that was really cool. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I love playing this game. And I know there's a lot I missed. I know there's a lot of decisions that I made that you could probably make differently, and it would totally change the ending of the game. I know there's people that I didn't even deal with. There's obviously quests that I didn't finish. I think there's actually a companion that I never even met. So there's like whole different quest lines. I talked to a friend of mine who played this through. He picked a different companions than I did, and it sounds like his playthrough is completely different than mine. So even if you watch this all the way through, I think it's still probably, if you enjoyed this, you should go pick it up. And I think that you will find that your playthrough will be a lot different than mine. Anyway, if you have hung in there for this long, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And thanks for watching Torment, Tides of Numenera. I'll see you soon. Take care.